Folks, it's barely started and already it's a hot mess.
And this is the crowd that has gathered just in the past sort of half an hour or so. They arrived about 3:35. A lot of them were here because of the media.
It's a disaster in the making, Dan.
But the big crowd that they have seen today was at the Royal Children's Hospital. This was at lunchtime. There were hundreds of people.
I mean, I feel like we are mugs, Sophie. These guys are grifters par excellence. I call them the ginger and the whinger. There's no public-facing events. Everything's by invitation only. There's a couple of things, as you saw today at the Royal Children's Hospital, but that's just to give a bit of, froth and bubble out there for the media. Most of this is a commercial enterprise. It's to make money.
As a new low for Harry, they're not happy. They've said that the trip is going to backfire horribly. Australia are not happy at all.
Something was off from the very first second, and you could feel it before anyone even said a word. No dramatic arrival, no explosive cheers, no frenzy, just a tight convoy, controlled movements, almost like they were slipping in rather than stepping out. And when they walked into that hospital in Melbourne, this was supposed to be the moment, right? The big emotional kickoff. But instead of energy, there was hesitation, a soft, uncertain high from the crowd. Not excitement, not passion, just restraint. And that silence, it wasn't empty, it was loaded. Because silence like that doesn't happen by accident. It happens when something has shifted beneath the surface, when the story people once believed doesn't quite feel the same anymore. And suddenly, without anyone announcing it, you realize you're not watching the same narrative you thought you were.
Why did you think you'd stop on your walk today?
Well, we're actually just on a quick lunchtime walk. We work around the corner, saw the crowd gathered, asked your video guy what's going on, and it's only so often that you stumble across elite ginger.
Because once upon a time, this was different. Completely different. Back then, they were untouchable, newly married, glowing, unstoppable energy, crowds screaming their names like it was a global phenomenon, streets flooded, cameras flashing, pure obsession. That was the version everyone remembers. But now, it's quieter, slower, careful, almost like people are watching but not fully buying in anymore. And that's where the tension begins to creep in, because this trip isn't happening in isolation, it's happening after everything, every interview, every headline, every fallout, every decision that pulled them away from the very system that built their identity in the first place.
Much more downgraded way of getting here. They arrived here just after 6:30 on a commercial jet.
I've never seen anybody look so refreshed getting off a flight from the US. He looked great. Okay. Prince Harry, yeah.
What about Meghan?
I didn't see her.
And that's where the question starts to burn. What are they now? Because on the surface, everything looks familiar. Charity visits, hospitals, community stops, the same structure, the same rhythm. But something underneath feels completely different because this isn't official. There's no palace behind it, no royal backing, no institution guiding the narrative. Instead, there's something else creeping in, something more modern. Yoga, manifestation, wellness, culture, carefully curated experiences. And suddenly, the tone shifts because now it's not just about showing up, it's about what's being built around that presence.
I spoke with quite a few of the passengers who came out into the arrivals area here at Melbourne Airport, and they said that they were really quite gobsmacked to have the Duke and Duchess on board their flight. This is what some of them had to say.
And here's where it gets uncomfortable, because now there's a price tag attached, and that changes everything instantly. Because the moment money enters the picture, every action gets re-examined. Every smile, every handshake, every carefully timed appearance, it all starts to feel like part of something bigger, something strategic. And people are noticing fast. Is this still service, or is it slowly becoming something else entirely? Something branded, something packaged, something designed not just to help, but to sell an image.
Harry and Meghan, welcome to Australia. Welcome to Australia. What are you most looking forward to?
Everything. It's been great. Nice to be back.
So grateful to be here. Thank you.
Even the smallest details start to feel loaded, like flying commercial. On the surface, it looks humble, grounded, relatable. But then the narrative flips again, because suddenly people are asking, is that authenticity or is it performance? A calculated move to appear closer to the public while something much larger unfolds behind the scenes? And that contrast becomes impossible to ignore when, at the same time, there are events tied to this visit costing thousands just to attend. Thousands. for access, for proximity, for the experience. And now the entire trip starts to split into two realities: what's happening in front of people and what's being built around it. Inside that hospital, the moments feel real. You see it, you feel it. The interactions are human, genuine. Meghan embracing patience, Harry talking easily, listening, connecting. For those children, for those families, those moments matter. They're not fake, they're not staged in that sense. They carry weight, but outside those walls, a completely different conversation is exploding, and it's getting louder by the second, because while those emotional scenes are happening inside, outside people are asking harder questions, questions that don't go away, questions about money, about access, about intention. Because when tickets cost thousands just to be in the room, when watching online still comes with a price, when retreats are marketed as exclusive experiences built around a persona, people start connecting dots. And once those dots connect, the narrative begins to fracture. Because now it's no longer just about what they're doing, it's about why they're doing it, and whether those two things still align the way they once did. And then comes the backlash. Sharp, direct, unfiltered. Words like grifters start circulating. Accusations that this isn't just a visit, it's a transaction. That a country is being treated like an opportunity rather than a connection. And suddenly, the warmth inside the hospital clashes violently with the skepticism building outside. Two completely different stories unfolding at the same time. One emotional, one analytical. One personal, one public, and neither one canceling the other out. Because that's the real tension here, it's not clean. It's not simple. It's layered, messy, contradictory. You can see genuine moments and still question the system around them. You can feel connection and still sense calculation. And that's exactly what's making this so explosive. Because people aren't just watching anymore, they're dissecting. Every move, every choice, every detail. And the deeper this goes, the more one question refuses to stay quiet. If they stepped away from royalty, why does this still feel like a royal tour? And the moment that question lands, it doesn't leave. It just keeps echoing louder with every step they take, every room they walk into, every camera that follows them just a little too closely. Because once you start seeing it, you can't unsee it. The structure, the pattern, the way everything feels carefully placed, almost like a blueprint unfolding in real time. And suddenly, this isn't just a visit anymore. It feels like something being constructed right in front of everyone. Inside that hospital, it still looks like compassion. It still feels intimate. Harry crouching down, speaking softly, listening like he's done this 1,000 times before. Because he has. That muscle memory doesn't disappear. It's embedded. It's part of him. You can see how naturally he moves through those spaces, how easily he connects, like someone who still belongs in that world, even if technically he stepped away from it. And Meghan, she leans in completely. Not distant, not detached, fully present in those emotional moments. Hugging children, holding hands, offering words that stick in people's minds long after she walks away. For a second, you forget everything else. You just see the moment. But the problem is, the moment doesn't exist alone anymore. It can't, because right outside those doors, the narrative is shifting again. And this time, it's sharper, more aggressive, more direct. Because now it's not just about perception, it's about money, structure, and control. Because as those images spread, compassion, care, connection, another reality builds right alongside them. A reality where access is priced, where proximity has tiers, where being close isn't just about being there, it's about how much you can afford to pay. And that's where everything starts to blur in a way that makes people deeply uncomfortable. Because now every action is being reinterpreted through a different lens. That hospital visit, is it pure service or part of a larger narrative strategy? That women's shelter moment where Meghan steps into the kitchen, apron on, serving food, blending into the environment, it hits emotionally, no question. It looks powerful, rounded, real. But then the detail slips in. The designer outfit, over $1,000. And suddenly the image fractures again. Because now people aren't just seeing the action, they're seeing the contrast. And that contrast, it doesn't sit quietly. It demands attention. Because how do you reconcile those two images at the same time? Relatable, yet luxury. Accessible, yet exclusive. Present, yet curated. And the more you try to make sense of it, the more complicated it becomes. Because maybe both things are true at once. Maybe that's the real story. Not one side or the other, but the uncomfortable space where both exist together. And then comes the next layer, the one that really pushes everything into overdrive. The events, the retreats, the speaking engagements. Structured, tiered, packaged. This isn't random. This is organized, deliberate. A system designed to turn presence into experience. An experience into something something people can buy into. And that word buy starts to carry more weight than anyone expected, because now it's not just about showing up, it's about monetizing that presence in a way that feels both modern and strangely familiar. Because here's the contradiction that refuses to settle: they walked away from the institution, but the institution never fully walked away from them. The titles are still there, the recognition is still there, the global attention is still there, and now it's being channeled into something new, something that doesn't quite have a name yet, not fully royal, not fully celebrity, something in between, something fluid, and people don't know what to do with that because it doesn't fit into the boxes they understand. And that confusion, it turns into scrutiny. Fast. Every movement gets analyzed, every detail gets pulled apart. Even silence becomes suspicious, especially silence. Because remember that moment at the beginning, that quiet high, that hesitation? That wasn't just a random reaction. It was a signal, a subtle one, but powerful, because it showed something had shifted in the way people respond to them. Not necessarily rejection, not necessarily support, something in between, something uncertain. And uncertainty is dangerous in a world built on perception, because once people start questioning authenticity, everything becomes unstable. Every smile gets examined, every gesture gets debated, every intention gets doubted. And that's exactly what's happening now, in real time, across headlines, across conversations, across public opinion that refuses to settle into one clear direction. Because for some people, they're still doing meaningful work. That part hasn't disappeared. They're showing up, they're engaging, they're using their platform in ways that still create impact on a human level. That's real. But for others, it feels different. It feels orchestrated. Like every moment is designed not just to happen, but to be seen happening, captured, distributed, remembered in a very specific way. And that's where the tension becomes impossible to ignore, because it's no longer about what they're doing, it's about how it's being interpreted. And interpretation is everything now, because we're not living in a world where actions speak for themselves anymore. We're living in a world where perception moves faster than truth, where narratives form instantly, where meaning is assigned before context even catches up. And right now in Australia, that collision is happening at full speed. Compassion and commerce, connection and calculation, service and strategy, all layered on top of each other, impossible to separate cleanly. And the deeper this visit goes, the more those layers start to reveal themselves. Not in obvious ways, but in patterns, in contrasts, in the small details that keep repeating until they're too loud to ignore. Because here's the truth that nobody can fully answer yet. Maybe not even them. What are they actually becoming? Because this isn't the same identity they had before. That version is gone. And this new one is still forming, still evolving, still being tested in front of a global audience that's watching closer than ever. And maybe that's why this entire trip feels so heavy. Not because of any single moment, but because of what it represents as a whole. A transition, a shift, a redefinition that isn't complete yet. And until it is, every step they take is going to feel like part of something bigger, something unresolved, something that keeps building without a clear ending in sight. Because by the time this visit reaches its final moments, one thing becomes painfully clear: this isn't just a tour. It's a mirror, reflecting not only who they're trying to be, but how the world is choosing to see them. And right now, those two versions don't fully match. Not yet. Maybe they never will. And that gap, that space between intention and perception, that's where the real story lives now.